You've already won, you just don't know it yet. Kevin Durant had it all. Not the kind of all where you're doing pretty well, the kind where you've achieved the exact thing that was supposed to make everything else irrelevant. He'd spent his entire career chasing a championship. Every workout, every sacrifice, every moment of self-doubt was justified by one promise. When you win it all, you'll feel complete. And then he did. He joined a super team. He played the best basketball of his life. He won the championship, the ultimate external victory, the one that's supposed to settle everything. And he felt empty. Not disappointed, not restless. Empty in a way that made him question whether the entire map he'd been following was taking him anywhere real at all. He'd reached the summit and discovered that the view from the top wasn't what he'd been told it would be. Worse, he realized millions of people are doing exactly what Durant did. They're chasing a finish line that doesn't actually exist, hitting milestone after milestone, checking every box on a script they never actually agreed to follow, and wondering why none of it feels like winning. This isn't a motivational reframe. This is a diagnosis. You're not failing at the life you're supposed to want. You might be succeeding at it, and that's the problem. The author of Designing Your Life spent years in this exact place. He'd built the kind of resume that makes other people jealous. Credentials stacked like trophies. A corporate career that looked like success from the outside. And inside, he felt like he was on a treadmill that someone else had designed, moving faster and faster toward a finish line that kept moving further away. What he discovered was that this isn't personal failure. It's a cultural script so old and so normalized that we stopped seeing it as a choice. It was written centuries ago. It doesn't belong to you, and the moment you see it clearly, you can't unsee it. Over the next 30 minutes, we're going to walk through the 5 realizations that change everything about how you approach the life you're actually building. What if the path you're on was designed by people who have been dead for centuries? What if you don't need to burn your life down to change direction? What if transformation happens in a series of small, almost invisible decisions? What if the real work isn't figuring out where you're going, but dismantling what you've been taught to want? What if planning every detail is actually what keeps you stuck? And what if the clearest path forward comes from defining who you absolutely refuse to become? By the end, you'll have a specific framework for identifying where you've been following someone else's ritual instead of building your own life. More than that, you'll have 3 concrete experiments you can start this week that require nothing but a journal and 15 minutes. You're sitting in your office, staring at the awards and certificates on your wall, feeling a sense of emptiness and disconnection from the work you're doing. You've spent years climbing the corporate ladder, checking all the right boxes, and achieving every external measure of success, yet the sense of fulfillment you thought would come with it remains elusive. This feeling of being on a treadmill, constantly chasing the next milestone without ever truly arriving, is a common experience for many of us. It's as if we're following a map that promises to lead us to happiness and success, but in reality, it's taking us further away from what truly matters. This default path we're on is rooted in societal expectations and historical work ethics, where the pursuit of external validation and prestige is often seen as the key to success. Many of us have been conditioned to believe that if we just work hard enough, achieve the right credentials, and climb the corporate ladder, we'll finally find happiness and fulfillment. However, this path is a cultural construct, not a universal truth. It's a script we've been given, but it's not necessarily the one that will lead us to our true desires and aspirations. Recognizing this default path is the first step towards breaking free from its constraints and creating a life that's truly our own. Let's look at a few examples that illustrate this concept. The author of the book recounts their experience of becoming obsessed with optimizing their college schedule and taking easy classes to maximize their credentials, rather than pursuing genuine learning or purpose. This mindset, driven by external validation, highlights the emptiness of simply playing the game of achievement. As they delved deeper into this experience, they realized that their obsession with credentials had led them to neglect their own interests and passions, leaving them feeling unfulfilled and disconnected from their own desires. Furthermore, this experience had a lasting impact on their approach to learning, as they later had to relearn how to pursue knowledge and understanding for its own sake, rather than just for the sake of achievement. They also began to notice how this mindset had affected their relationships, as they had prioritized academic achievement over building meaningful connections with others. Additionally, they realized that this experience had taught them the importance of self-reflection and introspection, as they had to confront the emptiness and disconnection they felt and find a new path that aligned with their true values and aspirations. Similarly, the Protestant Reformation transformed work from a necessity into a moral duty or calling, laying the groundwork for the modern pressure to constantly strive and produce. This historical shift shows how deeply ingrained our current work ethic is, often without us questioning its origins. The Reformation's emphasis on hard work and diligence as a means of pleasing God has had a lasting impact on Western culture, shaping our attitudes towards work and success. For instance, the concept of the Protestant work ethic has been used to justify the exploitation of workers and the prioritization of profit over people. Furthermore, this cultural narrative has been perpetuated through generations, influencing our values and beliefs about the importance of hard work and diligence. Moreover, the Reformation's impact can be seen in the way we often prioritize work over other aspects of our lives, such as relationships, health, and personal growth. Kevin Durant's experience of feeling unfulfilled despite achieving the ultimate external success in basketball by winning a championship with a new team illustrates the arrival fallacy, where reaching a perceived pinnacle of success doesn't always bring expected happiness. Durant's story is particularly striking because he had achieved the highest level of success in his field, yet still felt empty and unfulfilled. This highlights the fact that external validation, no matter how prestigious, is not enough to bring lasting fulfillment. In fact, Durant's experience led him to reevaluate his priorities and focus on his personal growth and development, rather than just his athletic career. He also began to explore other passions and interests outside of basketball, such as entrepreneurship and philanthropy, which brought him a sense of purpose and fulfillment. Additionally, Durant's story shows how the pursuit of external validation can lead to an unbalanced life, where one aspect of our lives is overemphasized, while others are neglected. These examples demonstrate how the default path can lead us astray. We become so focused on achieving external validation that we forget to question whether the life we're building is truly our own. We're like a ship sailing on autopilot, following a course that was set by someone else, without ever stopping to consider whether it's taking us where we truly want to go. The book reveals that this path is not only unfulfilling, but also unsustainable. It leads to burnout, disconnection, and a sense of purposelessness. By recognizing this default path, we can begin to break free from its constraints and create a life that's more authentic and meaningful. When we internalize this learning, several things stop being a problem. We no longer feel the need to constantly chase external validation, and we're no longer held back by the fear of what others might think. We're free to pursue our true passions and interests, even if they don't fit into the traditional mold of success. We're able to approach challenges with a sense of curiosity and creativity, rather than just trying to check the right boxes. We're also more resilient in the face of setbacks, because we're no longer defined by our external achievements. We're able to see that our worth and value come from within, and that we're capable of creating a life that truly reflects our values and aspirations. For example, imagine being able to walk into a meeting or a social gathering without feeling the need to impress anyone or seek validation. You're able to be yourself, without apology or pretension, and engage with others on a deeper level. You're also able to approach your daily commute with a sense of curiosity, wondering what new experiences or insights you might gain, rather than just seeing it as a necessary chore. Additionally, imagine being able to turn down a promotion or a high-paying job offer because it doesn't align with your values or passions, and instead, pursuing a path that brings you a sense of purpose and fulfillment. You're also able to prioritize your relationships and spend quality time with loved ones, without feeling guilty or worrying about what others might think. To start putting this learning into practice, take 15 minutes today to journal about one area in your life where you're making choices primarily to meet external expectations or for prestige. Ask yourself what you truly desire in that area, irrespective of others' opinions. What would you do if you weren't afraid of what others might think? What would you pursue if you weren't limited by the need for external validation? Write down your thoughts, feelings, and insights and see what emerges. This simple exercise can be a powerful catalyst for change, helping you to break free from the default path and create a life that's more authentic and meaningful. As you do this exercise for the first time, you'll likely notice a sense of discomfort or uncertainty as you begin to question the assumptions and expectations that have been driving your choices. This is a natural part of the process, and it's a sign that you're on the right track. You may also notice that your thoughts and feelings begin to shift as you start to uncover what truly matters to you and what you want to achieve in your life. So you've recognized the trap, but now what? The good news is that escaping it doesn't require a dramatic, all-or-nothing moment of courage. The real transformation happens through something much quieter and infinitely more powerful. 70% of people feel unfulfilled in their careers, and this sense of disconnection is often accompanied by a paralyzing fear of making a change. You're likely one of them, feeling stuck and unsure about how to move forward. The fear of the unknown can be overwhelming, making it seem like the only way to escape is to take a drastic leap, quitting your job or making a sudden, drastic change. But what if you didn't have to? What if the key to finding your true path wasn't about taking a courageous leap, but rather about taking small, deliberate steps? Significant life changes and transformations are rarely sudden, courageous leaps, but rather the cumulative result of a slow, steady awakening and a series of small, deliberate experiments or prototypes. This approach minimizes risk and builds confidence, making the unknown less daunting. It's about eliminating fear through incremental discovery, not conquering it with a single act of bravery. By taking small steps, you can start to uncover what truly fulfills you and begin to shift your life towards a more authentic path. You don't need to quit your job tomorrow or make a drastic change to start moving in the right direction. If the fear of the unknown is paralyzing you, this insight shows you how to gradually shift your life towards fulfillment without risking everything at once. Let's look at some examples of how this approach has worked for others. The author of the book started a career coaching side gig while still in his full-time job, paying attention to his growing discomfort and slowly reordering his priorities. He started by dedicating just a few hours a week to his side gig, and as he gained more confidence and clarity, he began to scale back his hours at his corporate job. Eventually, he was able to leave his corporate role and pursue a more authentic path. This gradual experimentation allowed him to test his interests and build his skills without taking on too much risk. As he transitioned, he also had to navigate the challenges of building a new network and finding new clients, but he was able to do so in a way that felt authentic and aligned with his values. He also had to confront his own fears and doubts, but by taking small steps, he was able to build his confidence and develop a sense of self-trust. Over time, he was able to create a thriving coaching practice that allowed him to make a meaningful impact on his clients' lives. He was also able to develop a sense of community and connection with his clients, which further reinforced his decision to pursue a career in coaching. Additionally, he was able to learn from his failures and setbacks, using them as opportunities to grow and improve his craft. Another example is Diania Merriam, who gradually transitioned from a sales job to self-employment through a series of small, deliberate experiments. She started by paying off her debt and negotiating remote work arrangements, which gave her the freedom to explore other interests and passions. She then launched a conference and podcast, which allowed her to connect with like-minded individuals and build a community around her work. Through these small steps, she was able to prototype her way out of her traditional job and into a more fulfilling career. As she transitioned, she also had to learn new skills and develop a new mindset, but she was able to do so in a way that felt intentional and aligned with her goals. She also had to navigate the challenges of uncertainty and self-doubt, but by taking small steps, she was able to build her confidence and develop a sense of self-trust. Today, she is a successful entrepreneur and thought leader in her industry, and she continues to inspire and empower others through her work. She has also been able to create a sense of balance and flexibility in her life, allowing her to pursue other passions and interests outside of work. Furthermore, she has been able to use her platform to make a positive impact on her community, which has given her a sense of purpose and fulfillment. These examples illustrate the power of taking small, deliberate steps towards a more fulfilling life. By starting small and being intentional about the steps you take, you can begin to build confidence and momentum. You can start to uncover what truly fulfills you and begin to shift your life towards a more authentic path. The key is to be patient and to trust the process. It's not about taking a single, courageous leap, but rather about taking a series of small, deliberate steps. As you take these steps, you'll start to notice a shift in your perspective and your approach to challenges and opportunities. You'll become more curious and more open to new experiences, and you'll start to see the world in a new light. You'll also start to develop a greater sense of self-awareness, allowing you to better understand your values, strengths, and weaknesses. When you internalize this learning, you'll start to notice a shift in your approach to challenges and opportunities. You'll become more willing to take small risks and experiment with new approaches, rather than feeling like you need to have it all figured out before taking action. You'll start to see that the unknown isn't something to be feared, but rather something to be explored and discovered. You'll become more confident in your ability to navigate uncertainty, and you'll start to trust yourself to make decisions that align with your values and goals. For example, you might find yourself more willing to try a new restaurant or take a different route to work, or to speak up in a meeting or try a new hobby. You might also find yourself more open to new relationships or new experiences, and more willing to take risks and step outside your comfort zone. You might even find yourself more willing to say no to opportunities that don't align with your goals, and to prioritize your own needs and desires. For instance, you might decide to start a journaling practice to explore your thoughts and feelings, or to take a break from social media to focus on your own well-being. One small, low-risk experiment you can start this week is to dedicate 1 hour a week to a passion project or interest. This could be as simple as writing, drawing, or coding, or as complex as starting a new business or nonprofit. The key is to start small and be intentional about the steps you take. By taking this small step, you'll begin to build confidence and momentum, and you'll start to uncover what truly fulfills you. You'll start to see that the unknown isn't something to be feared, but rather something to be explored and discovered. And you'll start to trust yourself to make decisions that align with your values and goals. As you take this first step, you'll notice a sense of excitement and anticipation, and you'll start to feel a sense of possibility and potential that you may not have felt in a long time. You'll also notice that you're more focused and more present, and that you're able to approach challenges with a sense of curiosity and wonder. Additionally, you'll start to notice that you're more motivated and inspired, and that you're able to tap into a sense of creativity and innovation that you may have been missing. You understand now that small steps work, but steps toward what exactly? You can't prototype your way to a fulfilling life if you don't know what actually fulfills you. That's the inside work, and it's the hardest part because it requires you to dismantle what you've been taught to value. You're living someone else's dream, and it's killing you. The emptiness you feel, despite outward success, is a sign that you've been following a path not truly your own. This isn't about being ungrateful or discontent. It's about recognizing that the life you've built doesn't align with your deepest values and desires. You've achieved what society deems successful, but the feeling of emptiness persists. This is a common phenomenon, one that stems from seeking external validation rather than internal fulfillment. The concept of finding your true path is rooted in the idea that genuine fulfillment comes from aligning your life with your deeply held values and pursuing your unique conversation with the world. This isn't about seeking external validation or trying to fit into someone else's mold. It's about embracing your authentic self and creating a life that truly resonates with who you are. This often requires a psychological metamorphosis, where you consciously dismantle inherited beliefs or career paths that no longer serve your authentic self. The real work of your life is an ongoing process of self-discovery driven by curiosity. Let's consider the story of an author who quit his job to perform a self-assessment on his values and principles. He realized he was struggling to embody them in his daily work and made the conscious decision to burn down the house of his inherited career path, rebuilding his life from scratch to align with his true self. This drastic measure allowed him to rediscover his passions and create a life that was authentic and fulfilling. He began to write from a place of vulnerability, sharing his true thoughts and feelings with the world, and in doing so, he found a sense of connection and community with his readers. As he continued on this path, he noticed that his writing became more meaningful and impactful, resonating with people on a deeper level. He also found that he was able to collaborate with like-minded individuals, creating projects that were truly innovative and groundbreaking. On the other hand, John O'Nolan, after multiple failed startup attempts, decided to build a business that he was truly passionate about, prioritizing his values for the company's structure. This allowed him to engage in his unique conversation with the world through his work, creating a sense of purpose and fulfillment. He was able to create a company culture that reflected his values, attracting employees who shared his vision and passion. As the company grew, he found that his values-based approach led to a more sustainable and successful business model, one that prioritized the well-being of both the employees and the customers. These stories illustrate the power of aligning your life with your values and pursuing your unique path. Another example is the story of an entrepreneur who, after years of struggling to find success, realized that she had been trying to fit into someone else's mold. She had been pursuing a career that she thought would bring her wealth and status, but it wasn't aligned with her values or passions. Once she made the decision to pursue her true passions, she found a sense of fulfillment and purpose that she had been lacking. She started a business that focused on sustainable living, creating products that were environmentally friendly and socially responsible. As she worked on this business, she found that she was able to connect with like-minded individuals, creating a community that shared her values and vision. She also found that her business was able to make a positive impact on the environment, reducing waste and promoting sustainable practices. These examples demonstrate that finding your true path is not just about achieving success, but about creating a life that is authentic and meaningful. Furthermore, they show that this journey is not a solo endeavor, but one that can be supported and enhanced by like-minded individuals who share your values and passions. The story of these individuals serves as a reminder that finding your true path is a journey, not a destination. It requires a willingness to question your assumptions, challenge your beliefs, and take risks. It's about embracing your uniqueness and creating a life that truly reflects who you are. By doing so, you'll find that the sense of emptiness and disconnection begins to fade, replaced by a sense of purpose and fulfillment. As you embark on this journey, you'll begin to notice the ways in which your life is not aligned with your values, and you'll start to make changes to bring your life into greater alignment. You'll start to see the world in a new light, recognizing the opportunities and challenges that lie ahead, and you'll begin to develop the courage and resilience needed to pursue your true path. As you reflect on your own life, you may realize that you've been living someone else's dream. You may have achieved outward success, but feel unfulfilled and disconnected from your true self. This is a common phenomenon, one that can be changed by making a conscious decision to align your life with your values and pursue your unique path. By doing so, you'll find that the sense of emptiness and disconnection begins to fade, replaced by a sense of purpose and fulfillment. For instance, you may find that you're more present and engaged in your daily activities, more able to connect with others on a deeper level, and more able to find joy and meaning in the simple things. You may also find that you're more resilient in the face of challenges, more able to bounce back from setbacks and failures, and more able to stay focused on your long-term goals. Once you internalize this learning, you'll stop seeking external validation and start focusing on what truly brings you purpose and meaning. You'll no longer feel the need to conform to societal expectations or fit into someone else's mold. Instead, you'll be free to pursue your passions and create a life that is authentic and fulfilling. You'll start to notice the small things that bring you joy, the activities that make you feel alive, and the relationships that truly nourish your soul. You'll begin to prioritize these things, making time for them in your daily life, and slowly but surely, you'll start to build a life that truly resonates with who you are. For example, you may find that you're more inclined to take risks and try new things, more willing to step outside your comfort zone and explore new possibilities. You may also find that you're more able to say no to things that don't align with your values, more able to set boundaries and prioritize your own needs. To put this learning into practice, take 30 minutes to write down your top 3-5 personal values, such as creativity, community, freedom, or security. Then, list 3 current activities or commitments that are not aligned with those values. This simple exercise will help you identify areas where you can make changes to align your life with your true self. By taking this first step, you'll be on your way to creating a life that is authentic, fulfilling, and truly yours. As you do this exercise for the first time, you'll likely notice that it's more challenging than you expected, that it requires a level of self-reflection and honesty that can be uncomfortable. However, you'll also notice that it's liberating, that it allows you to see your life and your choices in a new light, and that it gives you the courage and clarity to make meaningful changes. You're trying to control every step of your journey while simultaneously fearing that you're not prepared for what's to come. This paradox is exhausting, as it pits two reasonable desires against each other: the need for a sense of security and the fear of being unprepared. This tension is a common experience for many of us. We attempt to mitigate risk by planning every detail, only to find that the more we plan, the more we worry about the things we haven't planned for. It's a vicious cycle that can leave us feeling stuck and uncertain about how to move forward. The concept of embracing uncertainty and inverting our goals offers a powerful alternative to this approach. Instead of trying to control every step of the journey, we can focus on creating space for unexpected opportunities to emerge. This approach is rooted in the idea of wu wei, or the practice of non-doing. By letting go of our need for constant control, we can tap into a more natural and effortless way of being. One of the most effective ways to apply this concept is to invert our goals. Instead of setting a goal like, "I want to achieve X," we define what failure looks like and actively work to avoid those specific negative outcomes. This creates a sense of clarity and direction, while also allowing for the unexpected twists and turns that are a natural part of life. The author's experience in Taipei is a great example of this approach in action. By embracing minimalism and profound uncertainty, he was able to create space for new connections and opportunities to unfold naturally. This non-doing approach fostered a deeper sense of connection and purpose, and allowed him to tap into a more authentic way of being. As he navigated the city, he found that he was more open to chance encounters and unexpected experiences, which in turn led to a more vibrant and dynamic social life. He also discovered that by letting go of his need for control, he was able to connect with others on a deeper level, forming meaningful relationships that were not bound by preconceived notions or expectations. Furthermore, this experience taught him the value of living in the present moment, rather than constantly worrying about the future or past. The people he met during this time, from fellow travelers to locals, played a significant role in shaping his perspective and broadening his understanding of the world. He learned to appreciate the beauty of uncertainty and the freedom that comes with it, and this lesson has stayed with him long after he left Taipei. Additionally, he found that this experience had a profound impact on his creative pursuits, as he was able to tap into a sense of inspiration and innovation that he had not experienced before. Another example of this approach is the author's practice of imagining a future version of himself that he doesn't want to become. He calls this future self Paul, and works backward to identify the specific actions and habits that would lead him to become that person. By actively working to avoid those negative outcomes, he is able to create a clearer path forward and build resilience in the face of uncertainty. This practice has also allowed him to develop a greater sense of self-awareness, recognizing the patterns and tendencies that could potentially lead him astray. As he continues to work with this concept, he finds that he is more mindful of his thoughts and actions, and is better able to make choices that align with his values and aspirations. Additionally, this practice has helped him to cultivate a sense of compassion and understanding for others, as he recognizes that everyone is on their own unique journey, with their own struggles and challenges. He has also noticed that this practice has improved his relationships with others, as he is more empathetic and understanding, and is better able to navigate conflicts and difficult conversations. By letting go of his need for control and perfection, he has been able to form deeper and more meaningful connections with those around him. Moreover, this practice has also allowed him to develop a greater sense of purpose and direction, as he is able to focus on what is truly important to him, rather than getting caught up in external expectations or pressures. These examples illustrate the power of embracing uncertainty and inverting our goals. By focusing on what we don't want, we can gain clarity and direction, while also creating space for unexpected opportunities to emerge. This approach requires a willingness to let go of our need for control and to trust in the natural unfolding of life. As we apply this concept to our own lives, we may find that our relationships with others begin to shift. We may become more present and engaged as we let go of our need to control every interaction. We may also find that our decision-making process becomes more intuitive as we learn to trust our instincts and listen to our inner wisdom. The benefits of this approach are numerous and can have a profound impact on our overall well-being. By embracing uncertainty and inverting our goals, we can create a sense of freedom and liberation that is hard to find in our increasingly complex and fast-paced world. Why this changes everything is that it allows us to approach life with a sense of curiosity and wonder, rather than fear and anxiety. For instance, imagine you're planning a trip to a new city, and instead of trying to control every detail of the itinerary, you focus on what you don't want to happen, such as getting lost or feeling overwhelmed. By inverting your goals, you can create space for unexpected adventures and experiences to emerge, and trust that the natural unfolding of life will guide you towards a more authentic and fulfilling journey. Similarly, in your daily life, you may find that you're more open to new experiences and opportunities, such as trying a new restaurant or taking a different route to work, which can lead to a more vibrant and dynamic life. For example, you may decide to take a break from social media and focus on nurturing your relationships with friends and family, which can lead to a deeper sense of connection and community. You may also find that you're more willing to take risks and step outside of your comfort zone, such as pursuing a new hobby or speaking up in a meeting, which can lead to a greater sense of confidence and self-expression. Furthermore, this approach can also be applied to your work life, where you can focus on what you don't want to happen, such as missing deadlines or not meeting expectations, and work to avoid those negative outcomes, which can lead to a greater sense of productivity and fulfillment. So, what can you do to start applying this concept in your own life? Instead of setting a goal like, I want to achieve X, take a few minutes to write down what your worst possible future looks like in a specific domain, such as your career or relationships. Then, identify 2-3 concrete actions you can take starting today to actively prevent that future from unfolding. This simple exercise can help you gain clarity and direction, while also creating space for unexpected opportunities to emerge. As you take this first step, you'll notice that your mindset begins to shift, and you'll start to feel a sense of liberation and freedom that comes from letting go of your need for control. You'll also notice that you're more present and engaged in the moment, and that your relationships with others begin to deepen and become more meaningful. Additionally, you may find that you're more aware of your thoughts and emotions, and are better able to navigate challenging situations with ease and clarity, which can lead to a greater sense of overall well-being and life satisfaction. You're not actually following a map. Maps can be revised, studied, questioned. You're following a ritual, one so old and so normalized that you stopped noticing it was a choice at all. The people who drew it have been dead for centuries, yet their invisible hands still guide where you walk, what you measure yourself against, which version of success you're chasing. But here's what matters. Once you see the ritual, you can't unsee it. And once you can't unsee it, you're already free to do something different. The default path isn't a trap because it's hidden. It's a trap because it promises that arrival and fulfillment are the same thing, and they've never been. Small steps aren't less ambitious than leaps. They're more honest, because they admit that transformation isn't a single brave moment, but 1,000 quiet decisions stacked on top of each other. Your true path doesn't exist somewhere else, waiting to be discovered. It emerges through the uncomfortable work of dismantling what you've been taught to want and asking what actually makes you feel alive. Uncertainty isn't something to conquer through perfect planning. It's the only honest way to live, and the moment you stop fighting it, it stops fighting you. And when you invert your goals, when you focus on who you refuse to become rather than who you're supposed to be, you finally have clarity that doesn't collapse the moment reality doesn't cooperate. What you're feeling right now, if you're honest, is permission. Permission to stop performing. Permission to question whether the life you've built is actually yours, or whether you've been excellent at living someone else's vision. That discomfort you feel isn't a sign you're ungrateful, it's a sign you're awake. And awake people don't stay still. This channel exists to help you think clearly about the choices you're actually making, not the ones you think you should be making. If this landed, subscribe, and more importantly, comment one specific way you're going to test one of these ideas this week. Not someday, this week. The map was always yours to rewrite.